Hello everybody and welcome to another community fortress. This fortress was sent in by Semtexagon, who, for those of you who may remember, sent in the first ever fortress in this series, Rope Gorge, as well as the fortress of Steel Wall, an interesting surface fort. These all are in the same world, and I'm giving this one a look for a pretty specific reason. I'm kind of jumping it to the front. And in their note, they state this. This fort is about 70 years old, and it's in the making, and it's not finished yet. Lots of deaths, and way too much work has gone into it. Probably going to take a break from Dwarf Fortress for a bit of time after this fort because I'm getting burnt out on the game, but I do hope that Blind takes a look at it, and it is in the same world as Rope Gorge and Steel Walls. So before I say anything else, I just want to say if you would like to send in a fortress for me to have a look at on this series, you can do that via my Discord server. There's a link down in the description of this video. It's discord.gg/blind. In that Discord, there is a room called the DF Save Sharing Room. You can jump into that room, and what you need to do is go to your Dwarf Fortress Saves folder, select the save that you wish to use for the recording, rename it to something else, or copy it and rename it, and then zip it into a zip file, and then either upload it directly to the Discord server if the file is small enough, or alternatively put it on a file sharing service of your choice and upload it to the Discord server that way. This fortress is located in the middle of the combined land in the Vigorous Hill. Of course, it's called Aquaways, the Gates of Water, and it is of the blockade of hoisting of the waning doors. Now, before I dive into the fortress itself, I just want to say something. I like to think that this particular series of videos is kind of a source of inspiration for people to build cool stuff in Dwarf Fortress, and maybe also be a source of ideas or assistance for people who need help with learning mechanics or ideas. Like, you can send in a fortress that I give you ideas on how to improve upon, or alternatively, you send me a fortress just for me to kind of oogle at. And I don't want people to burn themselves out on the game, and I don't want people to play just for the sake of impressing, right? I think that this fortress is really cool, and I can't wait to have a look at it in this video, but just take your time, really. Enjoy the game. Enjoy playing the game, and I will take my time to get through the fortresses in that very large room on the Discord, and I am kind of currently working through in my head a way of doing just like a day of streams where I just stream like 12 recordings of these or 15 recordings of these in one day, just to kind of get through the list. But don't burn yourself out to get a video in this series. With that being said, let's dive in and have a look at this very cool fort. So this, you might be noticing from the mini-map, is quite the thing. If I scroll down, this is the entryway. There are 3 different roads coming in from different corners of the map, very unfinished. There is little ramps moving up and around the edge, and there's this kind of side area here full of workers' quarters, some of them with cabinets, some of them without. And if I move up a little ways, you can see there's a little stairway here that kind of goes up a bit, and if we move down, it kind of goes down a bit. There's a few spaces around here with like quarries, essentially, for different resources. But let's just take a look at this from the entryway, shall we? We've got this little pattern set of engravings in the entrance, these different platinum bridges on the entrance, and then we have a set of cage traps right here, and then the iron bridge at the front gates, and then quite possibly one of the craziest above ground forts I've ever seen. I love that you can see the river map here. Because it goes beneath here. But, like, it's also completely irrelevant because this thing exists. Which is, from what I can tell, a harnessed waterfall that came over from this way, which was constructed into this massive basin that is just full of water. Just full of water. Now, if we look over here on the side, we can see an aquifer that was also feeding this at some point. I assume we're doing something. There's like pumps that have pumped water in from this area, which are powered up here via these. Like this thing is crazy. It's just every time I look at it, I see something else I haven't seen before. And I gotta say, it does run like a slideshow. When I unpause the game, it crashes down to about 30, 40 FPS, and when I first tried running it, it actually went down to like sub 1 frame a second for about a minute before like the physics caught up, I guess. Over here, there's even more pumps coming from this spot here, which is pulling water up from something. I'm not sure what these are even for, but it's certainly keeping this thing full. And then if we look through the front, it is draining off the top, which is the source of the frame rate dampening here. And then there's all of the brave dwarves that died in the construction of this fortress. I love the Colosseum feel to the front of this. It's super goddamn cool. This front walkway with these iron floodgates flooding both sides is just dripping down the edges here, and they can see it flooding through on the inside here of this library. We'll actually do a fort tour in a second. I'm just kind of following the water right now. And it floods all the way down into here and then out through the front pattern here, down off the side into the river. And there's nothing to see here. Dwarf face. So let's do a fort tour now. We've got these sandstone block entryways, the bedrooms over on the side. Over on the other side, it's just the river, and we can see many different resources here. We've got the trading depot in the center. If we move down, there is forges and various gem workers' shops and stone workers' shops and piles of unused furniture. We move up a layer, there's all of these barrels, and we've got some soap makers' shops and farmers' workshops and various other things here, as well as a small poultry farm. If we move up a layer, we can see our kitchens and our stills. And in the center here is a pen pasture for cats, and on the outside is this dining hall. If we move up a layer, we can see a whole bunch of different temples, even more temples, and of course some unused temples for the future when they're needed. And then over here, this grand temple, which is dedicated to no particular deity, but is still quite a sight to behold. Here in the center, there's an anvil in the center. This is the Faith of Shells, which does have Coulette, who is the holy bone. That's a really funny name. The holy bone of the of the Faith of Skulls of the Ashen Temple. I'm a fan. That's a good name. If we move up one layer, we can see more bedrooms. This is for the Duke of this particular fort, and over here on both sides we can see a whole bunch of guild halls, and then over here at the end the sheriff's space as well as the prison. I like the this skeleton in the prison. That's a really nice addition for spooking your prisoners, of course. And then over here there's just some empty space, and if we move up a layer, we can see the House of Papers, which is a great name for a library, which does have some scholars in it. I love their little hats. And then some very lavish bedrooms for the more well-off dwarves, I would assume. And then if we move up a layer, we can see some unfinished space. We can move up a little more, and we can see more unfinished space. And then eventually when we get to the top here, there's these water wheels up at the top that are powering these millstones. So really, really cool setup here. And there's also screw presses here, I'm assuming for honey? Maybe something else? And then down here, there appears to be some sort of fight happening down here in the tavern, or at the very least, there's a bunch of vomit on the ground. This is a really cool fort. And then there's this big old nothing to see here. I guess this whole area is just like unfinished. There's a bunch of, you know, different ways down into the caverns down here in the undergrowth. And then there's this big ol' interesting hole in the ground, I'm assuming down to the next cavern layer. Yeah, it's just going straight down to that's a cool cavern, actually. It's a really cool cavern. I would like to explore that. I would like to throw a cat in there and see what they see. That is actually kind of neat looking. But yeah, big cool hole down to the next cavern layer. Neat spot. I really like this embark. I really like this fortress. This is a cool as hell fort. But oh my god, the amount of work to build something like this. I mean, just look at this. Let's just marvel at this for a second. Running in the highest possible sprite count that we can. It looks beautiful. Like, I don't know. I hope that this fort doesn't like cause Sem to burn out, because I want to see Sem's creations in the future. So I look forward to seeing this fortress finished at some point. I'll definitely take a look at it when it is completed, if it ever gets completed. And of course, if you would like to take a look at this save file yourself or play around with it, it is on my Discord. So you could go have a look mess with it yourself, try and improve it, work on it, build with it, or alternatively just wait until Sem comes in and finishes up themselves, because this is a really cool fort and I would like to see it finished. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this, there's a whole playlist of these growing. If you would like to send in a fort for me to have a look at, you can do that once again via my Discord. And if you would like to watch other things related to Dwarf Fortress, there's more of that on my YouTube channel than you could reasonably watch in a lifetime. And on the 19th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 19th of January 2023, Tarn Adams will be on my stream for about 2 hours, and we'll be doing a little Q&A over there. So check out the links down in the description. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.